Hi, this is Brian McHenry of McHenry Software. There's a quick demonstration of how to change the model and specifications for a vehicle, any vehicle. What we have right here is just basically my first project. We're going to go ahead and change one of the vehicles. So let's go ahead and change the striking vehicle, which is this gray, looks like a Crown Vic. What we do is you can, first of course, you can always check or click on the specs, which is right here. This specs button, and it brings up the specifications, and you can check, make sure everything looks good. And then, of course, you can change the specs right there by saying, like this one, we could say Crown Victoria. Let me bring that in the field of view. Crown Victoria, there you are, and you can change it to a different year, etc. There are some different minor differences in models. The other thing that you can do is if you change the model, let's go ahead and change this to a different graphic model. You can retain specs, but obviously if you're going to change the actual style of the car, you want to make sure the specs are changed. So we can say let's go ahead and change the model and specs. So we'll go ahead and change that to a 2013 Chevy Malibu. Now when we do that, you notice it lists specifications, and sometimes there's specifications stored with the model, sometimes there isn't. But even if there is specifications, this one didn't happen to have some, I would recommend, or we recommend, that you choose vehicle specs from the database. So we know that's a Malibu. So we would go Malibu. And you notice we have all these different years and models. Let's go ahead like a 2004. Of course, there's some slight differences in models. You should obviously check what kind yours is in your particular accident. So you say OK. Now you notice it has the specifications here and everything is loaded. Sometimes the models we're finding there's an issue, and we should have that in an update going out very shortly to double check that those model specifications are loaded properly when stored with the model. But you should probably also check, because generally you load a Malibu and you may not have the same model year that's stored with the model, so it's best to probably reload it. So we go ahead and save that. Then you can obviously, that changes the specs, etc. We can change the color. So we can go over here and change the color, which is the third one over. Instead of being black, let's go ahead and make that, the other one is green. We can make that blue. And then we can go ahead and change this car too. So go ahead and change the model and specs for the other vehicle. And we'll go ahead and go down and maybe do a Ford Explorer. And so now we say OK. And now it loads up some specs. And these look pretty reasonable, but just to be sure, we have the right year and model, put in Explorer. And if by chance there's more than Explorer made by some other manufacturer, you can always click on the Ford here, which will make sure that it only shows you Fords. Notice here there is, but not necessary if it's just one model. Then here's all the different years and models. And let's just say this happened to be a 2011 V6 Limited, etc. So that loads the specs that you have. Always add in your occupant and cargo weight, because these are the curb weights that are listed. So we say OK. And now we have these two vehicles. Now the only other thing is I would recommend is when you first run, this is a 10-second run because it was a rollover. Let's go ahead and just make it 3 seconds, and let's see how they hit and where they go, because otherwise it may run off the table and then you may get an error with that. So we go ahead and say OK, and then we just run the simulation. You see it's quite a different simulation. It's demonstrating that you can change the models very easily, and this is a quick and easy way to change models and double check your specs. But again, whenever you load a new model or when you make a new project, double check and make sure that the specifications you load from the specs database for the year and model that you have. That's all. Thank you very much.